Hey guys, it's Kitten, and today I will be talking about something I haven't really, expanded on very much on this channel, but I think I've mentioned it here and there, but I've never done, an actual, full video talking about it. It's funny because before this channel, I had this other channel that was more focused on what I'm going to talk about in this video. The whole channel was just focused on that area of my life. And after a while, since I was a teenager, I just the videos were shitty and I just wasn't feeling it, so I didn't really expand on it. But anyway, a part of me that you guys don't know about is that I'm a writer. I consider myself an avid writer. That's one of the things that's been very consistent with me. That's actually how me and Puppy met. We may have mentioned this in how we met video, and we've mentioned it in a few videos where we've been together. That was kind of the main reason why we bonded so much at that young age, is because we both realized we fucking loved telling stories. I remember every recess and lunch we would just talk about stories and things we wanted to write. Even in a few of the videos we mentioned that we kind of made this really half-assed, super copyrighted story that I don't know where the fuck it went, but it's somewhere in this room. I realized I was very much into the written word when I was in third grade, third and second grade. I realized that I love to tell stories. I fucking love to write things about characters, and I love to write about tragic things that the characters would have happen to them and how they developed as a person and blah blah blah. I loved writing about it because I found it fascinating. I found it fascinating that I could make imaginary people and then write about them and how their journeys and their life developed. I've always found particularly people fascinating. I love watching people. I take pride in analyzing people. I've always loved to write. But the thing with me is that I love stories so fucking much that I've never actually finished a story yet. Back when I was at least younger, I was just all over the place with my stories, that 1 week it would be one story and the next week I would get inspired for another story. And it would go on, and I couldn't focus on one story long enough to finish it. I never even got very far with a lot of my stories, but I've thought of a lot of fucking different story ideas. Let's just say I at least have over 50 story ideas all in here. When I first started writing, I was very much into adventure, but drama books, pretty much young adult drama adventure books. Usually the main character, every single book I've ever really thought of or written down, the main character is always a woman. I always have a female main character, but I also, with a lot of my books, I have a trend where I switch between the main character's viewpoint and then an important male character. So I switch between viewpoints in the book, but the main character is obviously the girl, and I make that apparent. I've always loved to write, particularly in the last several years, since middle school. I've been more attracted to romance stories. If you notice in my bookcase, literally almost every single book in this bookcase is romance. These are my favorite, not my favorite, but they're one of my good ones. I'm very much into romance novels, partly because I've always had an issue of finding love in my life, romantic love. So in my books, I always write what I want, what I could want, what I want in my life, and I just I imagine it the way I want it, and I'm just oh my god, this is amazing. There's a specific romantic book genre that a lot of people may or may not know about, but time travel romance novels, it's usually a modern woman that goes back in time to a certain place, time and place. And the popular like time travel romance novels you'll find a lot is particularly like Highland time travel novels where a woman goes back in time to a certain time in Scotland. That's the most common one, and that's actually the one I focus on the most. I don't know, I just love them. Like, they're great. Seriously, the majority of books on this bookcase is time travel romance novels. All my life, I've always loved history in general. So if you add like romance, a modern woman that like is similar to me, and the hot guy, I'm just like, I'm down. I'm down for that shit. And that's what I focus on most in my books. Like in particular, the one book that I am focusing, like I've written the most on, I don't even have a title for the story yet. It's pretty much my version of a Highland time travel book. I've written it in a way where it's like, the main girl is like exactly like me, like the main character is me. And I've written it in that way because that book is more for me than like readers. Like it's for me and I want to write that fantasy down. And I've also written the main romantic guy as my like ideal guy. Whoever else likes it, it's cool. Cool, we have the same interests. A lot of the books have main characters that are very much like me, but not exactly. But this one is like exactly. I've also worked on not just that one time travel book. I've thought of like a bunch of different like time travel of series of books. I've always been drawn to certain places and times, and I kind of just wanted to write about that in these books, but in a romance novel type of way, and I've always liked that. Many years ago, I kind of made this list of like, I wanna do a book here, 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 and here, and here. And one of the main ones I've always focused on is Scotland, and it's the one I've written most about. But there's also ancient Egypt, a time in Japan, probably the Edo era. Probably gonna do one in England, somewhere in England, whatever time I'm gonna pick. Probably ancient Rome or Greece. Because I remember, I also wrote a little bit about what modern woman happens to time travel back into ancient Rome. Pretty much back when Rome was at its like peak of power and like gladiators and stuff like that. And the main romantic guy in that book is a gladiator, and I kind of wanted to play with that. So there's a bunch of like other ones that I wanted to do. That series in particular is my most like invested. I've invested the most time in it. When me and Puppy kind of started becoming friends more in college, we started to work on particularly this crime novel with like light romance. But that's not the main focus of the book, but it's a crime mystery book. We've always had this ability to bounce ideas off each other. Just so you know, I'm really sorry. There's some gardeners gardening the house across the street, so I'm really sorry. You'll have to deal with that. If I'm hearing it, you're definitely hearing it. So yeah, I'll try to edit that out as best as I could, but you're gonna have to deal with that. We've always had this very good ability to expand on stories together. The first book we started, and when we first started talking again in college, was this crime mystery novel. We just kind of added, and we haven't really picked it up in a while. It's called The Gallery, and it's pretty much about this journalist girl is trying to find the truth. She's one of those truth-seeking journalists that wants to tell the truth and wants to search serious topics. For example, murders that are happening in their hometown. The story is located in Maine, I think. I think we placed the story in the capital of Maine. I'm not exactly sure. I think it was because I think we wanted a bigger city, not one of those small town stories. And we chose characters as we went. And then the second story wasn't even intentional. I had mentioned one day that I had a story idea in my head for a romance book where Death was an actual person. And I wanted to make the Death pretty much be the guy in the story. He would be a handsome man, like always, in a black suit, and super like dashing and like professional looking. And I also wanted to make Life an actual person. And I wanted to make her this little girl who pretty much acted like a perverted old man. She didn't act like a child at all, but she looked like a child. And I wanted to play off Death and Life's relationship a little in that book. And I told Cuppy about that. I was like, oh my god, this is the best idea! And he just kind of like went. And I was just like, okay, you really like that idea, let's go with it. It was mostly Puppy, not me, but we ended up making this whole fucking like story, and the story was pretty much about this girl who gets transferred to this school that pretty much had every student represent a certain idea, thing, or like so like different things in this world. A person represented love, a person represents time, a person represents nature, a person represents like each zodiac, a person represents each continent, like each country. And like we just kind of wanted to play off that, and we like made this like whole giant school where like she ends up getting transferred to, and then the two main characters in that story is the girl who accidentally gets transferred there, and then Death and Life. We pretty much played off the same roles for Death and Life, but we ended up making them hate each other. And those are the two stories that like we started talking about and started making together, and we haven't really picked them up since, which is sad. I'm the one that has the two gallery, the mystery novel notes that we did. This is the gallery notes where we're just talking about like different, where we started writing, but then we just kind of did basic notes of how we wanted the story to go and to the different characters. This is that book. And then we started writing the actual story in this one. And we got to page, wow, we actually wrote more than that. To page 83 on here. And I haven't written in it since, but it's my turn to write it. But I haven't, I'm sorry, Puppy. I'll do that eventually. I just have to get in the mood for it. But anyway, here is the truth about my obsession with books and stories and writing in general. It's great. You should try it. It's really great, honestly. Okay, I'm gonna stop bothering you with my obsession with writing.